Culture, for the culture, for the culture, for the culture. Welcome to the Culture Marauders. One culture, one blood, one love. Woo! Woo!
What up, everybody, in peace, East Coast, West Coast, worldwide, wherever you happen to be in the world. Welcome back to another episode of the Culture Marauders podcast, the show where we maraud on all culture and deliver the goods to you, the masses. And yo, I am your host, Kellz, so that officially means that you are rocking with the best. And, we appreciate you listening and tuning in, so we're going to have some fun. Hey, this show is brought to you by yours truly, the Culture Marauders, LLC. Check us out at theculturemarauders.com for all things that are podcast training, podcast production, home of the Drop the Mic experience, where you can record your own podcast and we produce it. We literally pick up the mic from there and take care of the rest. So check us out at theculturemarauders.com. So again, welcome back, y'all. We are again marauding on all cultures, as stated earlier, and today we are marauding on a little topic called self-discovery. I know we've been away for a little bit, and we're right smack dab in the middle of season 4. But there's a lot of things that have been going on, that people are dealing with, and that includes yours truly. Your boy Kellz is not excluded from becoming a better person and learning more about himself. So that's going to lead us into this episode's Marauder Minute, right? So throughout the summer break, Rena and I took a little bit of a hiatus and took some time to do the family thing, enjoy our family, our children, get out, travel a little bit. And what I found out, more and more as your boy gets older, I'm getting a couple more gray whiskers and hairs and stuff in this chinny chin of mine. I'm finding out that, family is what's important. And it always has been, don't get me wrong. But I'm finding out more, I'm enjoying more time with my family, with my children, with my wife, just being out and just getting out and just meeting people. And that's why I do this thing called the Culture Marauders podcast. I love meeting people. Rita and I like getting out, just having conversations. And, you find that you learn so much just in a casual conversation with somebody. You may have a topic or something that, you never knew that you had agreed on, or maybe that you disagree on, but you can have a civilized conversation where, we're not beating each other over the head, trying to, project our perspectives and our viewpoints on each other. It's a good conversation. So I'm learning that it is possible to do those things, even though we have all this outside noise telling us different in the world. And, just being in the moment, being mindful of the moment, and then just enjoying the moment and just taking life as it is. I started a new position over the summer, y'all. So yay, hooray for me, hip hop hooray. And it's a position that I really, really enjoy. I work diversity, equity, and inclusion for my company, and it's right up your boy's alley. I'm really enjoying it and having a good time. So that's my Marauder Minute. But hey, you see, I'm tying these two together, right? So, my new job, I had the opportunity to attend a disability conference in Dallas this past summer, where I met today's guest. So Culture Marauders podcast, or Culture Marauders fam, Marauder Nation out there, please welcome our guest, Zoya Awan, to the show. So what's happening, Zoya?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Curtis. Absolutely
Hey.
an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right. So, welcome again. Like as I just said, we met at the Disability In Conference and, just had a really cool conversation, just about life and what we're looking to do in this life and how we're looking to grow as people and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate you coming onto the show and lending your time and your perspective. All right. So before we get down to it, though, fellow Marauders out there watching, out there listening, we can't proceed any further without this little thing we like to do called the icebreaker, right? So, Zoya,
I'm scared.
You should be. So, because nobody has failed this yet, so you don't want to be the first one. So, no pressure on you, of course. So,
well, I don't fit into typical boxes, so I could be the first one.
See, I like that. You flipped it on me. See, so it may not necessarily be a bad
all about perspective.
So I got 2 questions for you, right? 2 questions, and these are coming from the pod decks, right? These are pod deck questions, made to kind of stimulate conversation, break the ice, break you in good before we get down to brass tacks and the topics for the day. So you got to get at least one of them right. or the answer has to be sufficient before we proceed with this this
You didn't
interview.
tell me about this part when I signed up for the podcast.
That's what makes this show so great. So, but listen, so you just got to get it right. If not, we kind of shut down the show and we go our separate ways. I wish you the best, but I have confidence that that's not going to be the case. All right. So pick a number between 1 and 4.
2.
All right. Have you ever had a "this can't be happening" moment? And if it has, what was it? Yeah. Are you like cycling through to see which one you want to pick?
I'm just like, that happens to me all the time. My life, sometimes I'm like, this can't be happening. Is this real life? But at this moment, I don't know which one of those, what to share.
Don't worry, this isn't a family friendly show, so you can say whatever you want. So if it's
I know, but I'm not. I don't know.
all right. Tell you what, you want to pick a different card?
No. I'm gonna come up with something.
All right.
This can't be happening.
All your worldly travels, all your experiences.
Well, so I'll give an example. So a couple of years ago, I went to Mexico with one of my girlfriends, and we just went for a girls' trip. And it was in Cabo San Lucas. We were kind of staying on the resort. We had booked some different activities and things. But when I like to travel, and this is one of the things I feel like why I always get into situations where I'm like, this can't be happening, because I just say yes to things. I'm very curious and very open. And we met a couple of guys who were from Australia, somewhere really far. I don't remember where, but they were nice and very friendly and stuff. And they were like, tomorrow we're going to go swim with whale sharks. Like, you should come with us. We're leaving at 6 a.m. If you guys show up at the breakfast, we'll know you're coming with us. And if you don't show up, then that's fine. No pressure, but it's like an hour and a half away. They had a rental car, all this stuff. Right. And I remember my friend and I kind of assessing whether we should go or do this or not. It was like, we're strangers. We just met them. But that sounds super fun. We also had certain plans for the day that we were like, okay, is it worth, and we were leaving the day right after. So this was going to be a full day thing. So is it worth it to like blow up the plan right now or keep it? And we didn't. We ended up going. And that spontaneity was so worth it. We had so much fun. We got to see a total different city in Mexico, in that area, which we wouldn't have gone to because we didn't have a rental car. Swimming with whale sharks, like being like this close. You just like jump off your boat and you're literally with like an 11-foot whale shark. And now that like I'm sharing the story, there's so many other stories coming too, which is a blessing. But the point is that sometimes, like for me, the way that those experiences happen often are just through curiosity, and they sometimes will blow my mind, but they're just like something always good comes out of it, so it's always fun.
And those are always the best experiences, like in hindsight, right? But I can understand like your hesitation, like I don't want to wind up on like a Dateline special, or
I know, and I will not be wrong to say there are some moments where I've made like not the best call, and as I've learned, I've grown. So you got to also like learn to follow your inner compass a little bit and be like, is this what what's here, or what is it? Because afterwards, people will tell you crazy stories, like like someone did that when they traveled, and such thing happened, and I'm like, oh, well, thank God I'm okay.
Well, look, I'm glad that it worked out. You got to swim with the whale sharks. I couldn't do it. I'm terrified of like sharks in general, and like I'll never scuba dive. I'll put it like that. So, but very cool. I'm glad it worked out. So, okay, cool.
I've been scuba diving before too, and it is so worth it. And anything that you say you'll never do, you should do it, because that means you should do it.
I don't know. There's a lot of things I should be doing. I don't know if that's at the top of the list, but I'll keep it in mind. All right.
Only if it ever calls.
All right. So, all right, I'll give you that one. It took a little while to get there, but I'll give you that one. So you're on the board. All right. All right. Next question.
Oh my God, we're still doing the icebreaker.
Oh, yeah. There's two questions. What would be your best day ever?
What would be my best day ever? Every day. I don't want to be cheesy right now, but come on. My best day ever continues to get better because I've had so many great days, and then you're like, whoa, it can get more. But I think, one where I'm around, I think I love mountains and water, volcano energy and water. or I'm just somewhere where I can just like be a free. I'm a water baby. I love swimming, and just to be have the space to be me and authentically with people who love me unconditionally, and bring out the great parts of me. So I don't know exactly where I would be or what it would look like, but those are some
You
of
got
the
to have
themes
those elements.
yeah, that I feel like I'm a wanderer, so I'll definitely be like traveling somewhere maybe, or maybe not, just somewhere peaceful where I can just relax. But
All right.
just what's
Hey,
your best day ever?
oh man, you know what? I thought about that, and you know, it varies, right? Because you know, I'm in different moods. Like some days, I'm like, you know, I can just sit on the couch, have a beer, and watch a really good boxing match, or you know, I could be on a trip somewhere on a vacation, sitting by the beach. You know, usually right down the street is St. Pete or something like that. You know, St. Pete Beach, Clearwater Beach, just chilling with with a drink, and you know, just my family around me and a good meal afterwards. Go home, get a good night's rest. I'm simple at this age. You know, when I was young, ripping and running and all that stuff. Yeah, but not so much. So just simple.
Yeah, and I would also say it changes,
Yes.
right? So, like, it's been evolving constantly for me what a best day ever looks like. Like now, it can look like, okay, being able to be um working together with these advocating for certain communities that I work with or trying to for inclusion. So it's like really wonderful that it does evolve throughout time.
Yeah, very cool. And with that being said, ding, 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 you passed the icebreaker. So you officially have the keys to the Marauder Castle. So anytime you want to come on back on the show, you are welcome. You are,
Ooh, thank you
yeah,
for the
see?
invitation. I'll be back.
All right, all right, all right. But unfortunately, you know, besides that, you don't really win anything. But that's cool though, because you're always welcome back, and that's a win within itself. So we're gonna keep rocking. So hey,
Thank
y'all,
you
that
for
was the
having me.
icebreaker session. You know, Zoya is officially a Marauder for life. So represent well, and yeah, we're gonna keep it moving. Zoya the Explorer, y'all. So we got a really, really dope podcast, a really dope episode, and she's gonna tell us a little bit about her background. She comes from a very diverse background, and you know, and her leadership journey and her as well as her travels. So strap on in and let's get to it. So we're gonna call this first portion called "No Labels Necessary." And I just mentioned that you come from a really diverse background, and you know, and family and culture. So share a little bit of that with us, if you would, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So, really grateful to be here again to share my story. And I feel like our identities and different cultures really are what shape us. And it's so powerful for us to be able to be sharing about and learning together, to recognize points of connection, but also to recognize where there's some differences, where there's some wisdoms, what makes sense, what doesn't, how we are evolving. And, you know, for myself, I was born in Long Island, New York, to immigrant parents. Well, my grandfather on my maternal side immigrated from Pakistan. Sometimes think about it and I'm like, how? And they came to chase the American dream, right? And he started a business, and my mother and my family were raised here, but still Pakistani, American, Muslim, and woman. These four different identities, which all sort of mean different things,
Mm-hmm.
but also the uniqueness and how I bring each to the table or can bring each to the table also make me who I am. So, you know, and my parents growing up pretty traditional and still, you know, very much like we have a big Pakistani community. I love, you know, being part of the music and weddings and dancing, and I speak the language. It's so amazing to be able to have that to share and honor my ancestries that in that. But at the same time, I also am very American. And for a woman, you know, it's important for me because I growing up didn't see a lot of Pakistani women speaking up, sharing their voices, sharing their stories, Muslim women. And I am grateful that I can be doing that now, you know, and for it to just feel like that's what it means around inclusion, representation, and for those that are kind of coming after me to know that, hey, like you should share your story. It's really fun. There's things we can learn together when you do.
Very cool, very cool. So growing up in a Pakistani household, I know very, very proud people, very hardworking people. So what was that like? Did your parents instill like a really deep sense of like hard work and those type of ethics and stuff in you growing up?
Oh, absolutely. So for my mother, it was very important. We're three girls and a boy is after us. So, for her children, but even especially the daughters, like she really encouraged us. And I credit a lot of my um just momentum and motivation to my mother because she pushed me to kind of think outside the box in terms of and pushing me into like some of these, even if I connect the dots going backwards, it's amazing to see my path.
Uh-huh.
And you know, that I felt like was very powerful because we were empowered to anything for education. I went away to school, which a lot of girls in my community maybe hadn't, or people still don't really do that as much, or it's sort of changing now, which is amazing, but it wasn't at my time. My parents had to evolve a lot too, So for my older sister, at first they were like, no one's going away to school, or they were a lot more strict. And she always knows that, but bless her because she, had the um hard end of the stick, but they've evolved a lot and grown with us too, to like also navigate how they navigate their identities as also Americans, as Pakistanis, as Muslims, with the community that they have to honor, with the tradition they have to honor. So I feel like it's always a work in progress. And even I would be lying if I said I've figured out the perfect balance.
Right.
I'm always working towards that. And kind of to your earlier point about the Marauder Minute, like family is super important. And that is something that keeps me very connected to my family and those identities. And I look forward to continuing every day to show up in the world as that.
Very cool.
Altogether.
Good. So thank you for that. Just giving us some insight on your background, and that's personal, right? And not everybody's very comfortable sharing that, but I appreciate you doing that for us. So let's move on to the next portion and talk about owning your truth, right? And so, you mentioned before that, your family and your family having and your parents having to kind of pivot and shift and grow as you grew, here as American citizens and moving forward. So what were some of those challenges that you had growing up, with those pivots and those shifts as you were coming into your formative years?
There were a lot, right? Because, so for example, like, it was challenging sometimes to know how to act around other Muslim young Pakistani women because, there's certain rules or like restrictions or who's talking to boys or what's happening here, like a lot of marriage expectations, which I still have, trying to figure out and navigate just the expectation of culture, what people are going to think, reputation, doing the right thing, but also just being like a normal teenager and figuring out how to navigate the world. And I feel grateful that I was always very curious and kind of was able to navigate that. But there was also times that was tough, right? Like I went away to school because I was trying to get some space from that community so that I could become into myself. And I feel like a lot of my travels and things have allowed me to become more of me holistically. And but I also feel we always have our North Stars, right? So for example, for me, like I'm always very impact driven. I've always wanted to explore and travel. And then even as a Pakistani woman, I also desire to partake in those expectations of, from the community perspective, but I feel like it's not necessarily like this or that, right? I can do all of it.
Right.
And I'm enjoying that.
Okay. So you mentioned some of the pressures and stuff of like the marriage and things like that. Have they accepted that, maybe that's not your path, or is there still those expectations? Because I know that is a traditional norm. How are you navigating that as well?
Let's see. This was not on the list of questions.
Well, I'll tell you what, feel free. I mean, if you don't want to say, hey, Kellz, move on. If you don't want to.
No. I'm teasing.
Okay.
I feel like it's a dance, right? And I'm continuing because it's also about my wishes and my desires, what they wish, what they want is best for me. And it's not even like that they mean it in a malintent, and for me to be able to understand that and genuinely also want it. I've been through different experiences that I trust in the timing, right, of everything. So, and I also trust if it's meant to happen, it will. And I know my parents have that mindset in the grandest scheme, but it's just also that's what they're going to worry about until it happens, I guess.
Right.
And I just honor that, and I trust that it'll be fine. So I think I continue to it's very real for me.
It's a very delicate, yeah, like you said, a very
And
delicate.
I know that, it is for many girls that identify with my community and even those that don't, you know, it's just, as a whole, when you have all these expectations of what it looks like to be a woman, what you got to do by certain ages, certain things. And I think even not as a woman, just in general, our society tells us like you go to college, you do
Right.
this, you do this, like succeed. And we're not given a lot of space to take on traditional paths or think through what are the other options? Are there other options?
Exactly.
And how can we make our traditions and expectations better or evolve them as they make sense?
Mm.
Um, and just honor the ones that are working too.
Yes. Yeah. And I appreciate that. And, I'm sorry, I did not want to come across as nosy, even though I am sometimes, but, I always,
It's okay. Maybe that'll be for the next time I'm back. We can go more into detail.
but no, I was curious, like, how does that work? And with you being, from what I understand, and what I've met and learned from you, being more westernized, but yes, still tied back to your traditions. What were your thoughts on that whole, custom? So yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. So while we're still talking about that, you being, fairly young, growing up in New York, after 9/11, there was a lot of discrimination against Muslim Americans. How did that, or did you experience any of that? And if so, how did that affect you growing up?
I did. And I can't really think of a specific example, but just
Mhm.
as a whole, for the Muslim community, when, and even still, there's so much misconception about what Islam is because of people who have kind of given, um, a few small, really bad actors have like created a representation for a whole that is so big and vast and diverse. And I think that what I have really understood for myself, but also for the community as much as we can. I that is why I'm going kind of circling back to the beginning of this. That my identity as a Muslim is super important because I
Mhm.
want for people to understand that we are also, normal people that are doing great things, that are exploring, that are loving, that are, and I know that that sounds like I do know that people know that. I'm not saying that people don't get that, but
Right.
I'm just saying that, like, for even if it's like hits one voice that shifts in some way to understand that, and I feel that kind of takes me into my understanding of also the power of connection and owning your truth and all of that, because then we all can remember that we're having these unique experiences, but we're here to weave our beautiful identities and just appreciate each other.
Nice. So with that being said, with everything you've gone through, successful woman, businesswoman, educated and everything, how did, your culture and everything that you've experienced growing up, how has it shaped you as a leader and put you on your path to leadership and stepping outside of that box?
Well, I can say that it's pushed me as a leader, kind of like what I described earlier. I was
Mm.
always motivated to fill the gap that existed where I didn't see a lot of um, people like myself who were kind. Or working in these positions of power or going into rooms and having great conversations like this and just representing themselves. There's some, and that wouldn't be fair for me to say there's none, and I'm super proud of all women who are stepping up and sharing their voices now, but even, people that fall into my community. And it's wonderful to feel when I connect with more of them as well and to um, say that because there's such a power in our own voice.
Right.
And I feel in terms of as a leader, the more I'm empowering people to use their voice and communicating in a whole, but also myself to do that. We're all doing this together, the more then I can recognize why that is such a valuable asset in leadership, you
Mm.
know?
Yeah. So you're appreciating this journey, right? And again, of self-discovery. You're finding your voice. You're stepping outside of this box, and taking chances to have those discussions and impart some wisdom and just tell your story. I've seen you've been doing a lot of speaking events lately, and and that's really really cool to see because you are being more comfortable in your skin and sharing that story. So that's very very cool to see.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I agree. And that's also recognizing that these important topics, whether it's inclusion or diversity or leadership, vulnerability, how to step up to your fear, we can't talk about it enough,
Right.
because the more that we talk about it, the more that we are reminded that these are going to be the keys to us, our success as individuals, partnership, connection, sharing, pushing ourselves beyond fear, vulnerability. Because I know like these were some of the themes that we had talked about are really coming up for me as I um, just continue on my path, as we all do.
Mm.
So I would just say that we should really appreciate that we are having, like, I really appreciate that we're having this conversation, but more so that more of these conversations are happening.
Yes. Yes. Very, very true. Very true. All right. So we're going to hit you with this last portion, y'all. So Zoya, the Explorer. And I like that because, you truly are a child of the world. And that's the name of this segment right here. You visit 38 different countries, right? So, again, back to the first portion, no labels necessary. You're a Pakistani-American woman, who's a world traveler. I mean, some of the countries, just looking at your Instagram, you've been to Morocco, England, Sweden, just all over the place, right? So tell me about some of those experiences and what have been some of your favorites.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And it's so nice to be reminded of how awesome that is, because I am so grateful that I've been able to just have certain opportunities that I have, and I recognize that that's not everyone's experience.
Right.
And I feel as much as you can in whatever way. This could be my advice tip for later, but we'll loop it in now.
All right, yes,
I should have done it at the end, but you should go out and explore, because this world is amazing. There's amazing people out there. There's amazing things happening, beautiful places to see. And I don't know if we can do it all in this lifetime, but we can do a lot. And it just depends on how you prioritize it, or what excites your spirit. That's what excites my spirit. I'm a wanderer. So, and actually, when I was in college, I studied abroad in Cairo, which was probably my first big shift in really understanding a different world than my own. And I remember that I was like, I don't like it here, and I wanted to come back home. And I called my mom, and she's like, "Nope, you're staying there. You're gonna figure it out." And I'm so happy she did that, and I still honor her for that, because literally, I ended up staying, right? And I ended up having just such a profound experience. The people that I met, just the figuring it out. We traveled around nearby countries, just had such a beautiful time that really knocked on that door of realizing of what explorer I wanted to be, or I am. And then since then, I've been really lucky to go on adventures around, and I look forward to doing more, and I'm always kind of planning what my next thing is, and it can be hard to sometimes have the desire to do so much and be like, I can't do it all, but you'll go exactly where you need to. So that's actually really exciting for me too. Other favorite places, I really love Hawaii. I love places where, like I said, and yeah, in Guatemala, like I had a really profound time there. Just certain places, I feel every place has its own charm and has its own story and own culture that I can take. And also, by the way, it doesn't have to be that far, so sometimes we think we're exploring, but you could go. I've realized, even for myself, I've moved back to Long Island with my family recently, and I've never even really explored upstate New York much, so starting to eat just where there's like mountains, there's things to do everywhere. So I want to zoom it out and zoom it in, and knowing that it's also just about what you want to prioritize.
All right. So what's next? What's the next spot that you got on the docket to hit up?
Right now, I'm figuring it out. I'm in transition. However, in knowing where is the next spot, but for right now, I have some work trips planned. In December, I wanted to go to Pakistan, actually, because I haven't been there since 2006.
Oh, wow.
But I'm not sure if I will because there's been some flooding and stuff recently.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a question mark, but I just know that I will know when I gotta go. But at this moment, I'm just focusing a bit on work, and I have some trips planned that'll be taking me kind of to different parts of the country, and continuing to network and enjoy that aspect of my intertwined life, and then I'll figure it out after.
All right.
But in general, what's next? Everywhere is on my list. So
Right. Well, that's cool because you keep your options open. And again, there's those experiences. Those best experiences happen when they're unexpected, right? At least that's what I found. So keep us posted, keep us locked in, and look, there's always a spot for you here within the Culture Marauders as our travel correspondent, our global
thank
correspondent.
you. I will take that title proudly.
All right, there it is. So before we let you get up out of here, right? So we got this segment, drop a gem on them, right? Usually this is our, parting words of advice, but I like the sound. Shout out to Mobb Deep too. So let us know, what's some words of advice, some words of wisdoms that Zoya can leave with our listeners.
I have so many that I would love to share.
Uh,
Not that I have much wisdom, but I just a lot of exciting things.
you got something. You got something in there.
And throughout this conversation, I feel like I already shared a little bit about, being open, being curious, trusting the journey, having faith, and knowing that every moment is part of our growth and experience, and trusting that as long as a principled leader and person, you try to do what's right and choose love and joy, happiness, but really like overarching this love, knowing that then all of that will lead you to just success and to your dreams coming true, or to whatever it is that's meant for you, but it'll happen. And I know that because of my deeper faith, but like I said in the beginning, there's so many places that and things and opportunities and experiences that I've had that if I was talking to the younger version of myself, I would never have imagined. And I'm so grateful to be able to understand that. And I want to share that. Just don't be afraid. And anything that really scares you, this is what I'm learning, but I'm also trying to practice myself. So but anything that scares you, it's usually something you should do. It's like a sign maybe that that's something that you should try. I'm feel like all the great people who did anything must have had fear, and can't imagine where they've gotten now because they didn't choose to pay attention to it.
All right, y'all. Y'all heard it first from Zoya the Explorer, Zoya Awan.
Yeah, follow me. And thank you so much for having me be here today. It was really an honor. And I feel it's an opportunity for me too to thank you for teaching me how to step into my voice more. So we'll continue to do that.
All right, very cool. So you can follow Zoya at Zoya_ the Explorer on Instagram. Check out her travels and what she's getting up to. Beautiful pictures out there, and you can see some of her some of her culture as well, some of the Pakistani culture, some of the dances and some of the the dress and all that stuff. Very, very cool. We're gonna be looking forward to seeing more from you. And I'm holding it out there. I'm serious. You can be our travel correspondent because we want to know what's happening in the world, right? So you're hitting all things culture. Come back and let us know when you come back from that next trip. So,
all right, sounds good.
All right, what shout outs you got out there?
I feel like I talked a lot already. I don't want to go on to a rant or ramble here because I tend to do that. But I want to shout out to you, Curtis. I appreciate that we met at this conference. Really great cause around inclusivity. And again, it's just so nice to meet good people who are following the good work to just create connection, to create empowerment. I appreciate that you're empowering me in this moment, that you're empowering all those that are, part of my culture and community as well. And I appreciate and want to shout out to all the listeners as well. I understand. And, I always have all these podcasts that I want to listen to and can never find the time or books to read. However, I understand that if you create a time, I hope that you got something out of it. And that's it. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Zoya. And thank you, fellow Marauders. As always, our list of shout outs is long. I'd like to thank you again, Zoya, for taking the time and being a guest. Pleasure having
Beautiful
you.
love fest.
And exactly. And again, thank you to the listeners, the viewers out there. Thank you to my family, hold me down. And, Rena would usually be on this. She was excited to meet you and hear your story and ask some questions, but work calls. So maybe next time. But, so yeah, everybody out there, the everyday people out there pulling the load, the unsung heroes out there, the garbage, waste management folks, the teachers, the educators out there, the police officers, the doctors, the nurses, everybody out there doing it out there. Thank you for doing what you do so we can continue to be healthy and safe. There we go. Healthy and safe so we can continue to do what we do. So thank you for that. All right, y'all. As always, you got something you want us to maraud on or you want to maraud on, there's always an opportunity. You can even host this show. We open up this show. This is a show for the people, by the people. So let us know if you want to jump on and host your own episode. There's definitely opportunities for that. Follow us on Instagram at _culture_marauders. Like us on Facebook at the Culture Marauders. If again, tie it back to if you want to, maraud on something or there's a topic you want to hear about, hit us up at our Gmail at theculturemarauders@gmail.com. And then again, as I said, with our plug at the beginning of the show, hit us up at the culturemarauders.com. See who we're collaborating with, some of those resources out there for creators. Sign up for our newsletter. And, if you're interested in getting into the podcasting world, again, we can set you up with some training or we can actually go in and produce your show for you. And, have a lot of fun with that. And it's a really cool experience and something that we're offering. So check out those ways to stay in touch with the Culture Marauders. And as always, thank you again, Zoya Awan, for your time. Check out Zoya The Explorer on Instagram.
Feel free to reach out, call me, contact me if I can ever be helpful or anything, any ideas of partnership opportunities.
There it is. There it is. All right, y'all. So we're going to leave y'all with our tagline as we rock out. One culture, one blood, one love. Peace.
Bye.